Microsoft's very own Chief Questions Officer, a title that speaks volumes about his role in sparking conversations that matter. You may know him as the former host of the Emmy Award-winning Daily Show on Comedy Central, a stand-up comedian, and the author behind the global bestseller, Born a Crime. But what you might not know is that he is mobilising global communities with his foundation, investing in education and future opportunities for young people in South Africa. He's also at the helm of The Prompt, a podcast by Microsoft's AI for Good lab. And here he dives into the transformative power of AI, sharing stories of innovation and impact that are shaping our world. Who better to guide us through a dialogue on the intersection of technology and society? With his inquisitive nature and profound insights, he's not just leading conversations, he is igniting change. I have to admit that the thought of interviewing a world-famous comedian who also makes a living out of asking tough questions has been a little nerve-wracking. But if there is one thing that he has taught us, it's that every question is an opportunity to learn, to laugh, and to look forward. And I also realised that just for a minute we can turn the tables and I can be the Chief Questions Officer. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming the man who has turned curiosity into an art form and conversation into a catalyst for good, Trevor Noah.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for that, Keith. Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Trevor Noah, you have worked with Microsoft for many years, and I think that there's probably a lot of people in this audience who would think that Trevor Noah and Microsoft are perhaps unlikely bedfellows. But you have been really interested and passionate about technology for so long, and I'd love for you to share where that started.
Well, it was a very unlikely story and a coming together. So I wrote a book, Born a Crime, and in the book I talk about how technology changed my life. You know, I grew up in South Africa. One of the first things my mom bought me that really just changed how I saw my trajectory in life was a computer. You know, my mom had a typewriter very early on, and then there was a digital typewriter, and then one day she came home, and I'll never forget, it was a Pentium 386. And she put it in front of me, and I said, "What is this?" And she said, "It's the future." And I said, "Okay, well, how do you turn it on?" And she said, "That's what we're gonna figure out." And we sat there together, and I remember just watching that blinking cursor on the DOS prompt that, like, in a weird way meant everything. Everything was possible. I remember my first, just learning simple commands, and and I wrote about all these things in the book, and how that journey propelled me to, at some point, working in a world where now I was running a little media conglomerate where I was, allegedly pirating music CDs, and just like building music for people. I had this crazy idea. I thought, like, maybe people don't want to buy full albums, maybe they just want to buy songs, and I did that for people. If I was in Silicon Valley, I would have made a lot of money. I just happened to be in South Africa at the time. But yeah, and I did that, and I wrote about this in the book. So I go to Microsoft one day, because Microsoft had these events with great authors and storytellers and everything, and Brad Smith, basically pulls rank and says, "I would like to interview Trevor at this event. We do this together." In the book, I talk about my journey with Windows. Just coincidentally, by the way, I've just had this, as many of us had, the journey with Windows from 3.1 to 95 to 98 and Millennial, which we don't speak about, and and we've all had these journeys, and so we had so much fun. And then Brad says to me afterwards, he says, "Would you like to see what we're working on?" And this was like Willy Wonka basically saying to Charlie, "Do you want to see what's happening in the factory?" I said, "Yes." We went in, I met the team, and I asked questions because I'm naturally curious and I love tech. And yeah, Panos Panay was leading the team at the time, and he said, "Can this guy come back?" And I've been coming back ever since.
You have been coming back ever since.
Yeah, it's been a really amazing journey.